Hi folks, in answer to some of your questions, newbies, those that are just starting out on the painting trail, they were asking me about my palette. Well, my palette is pretty much the same. I'll describe it here. I'll do the watercolours. There's my watercolour palette. Put that there. We've got cadmium yellow, pale, gambos, whatever yellow you like there, whatever you like the mixes it makes. Raw sienna, alizarin crimson, light red, ultramarine, burnt umber, which I very rarely use, Payne's grey, and burnt sienna, which I do use a lot of. Burnt sienna and Payne's grey make a good passable burnt umber. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 7 colours, 7 basic colours really. That's all I use. I don't use ready-made greens. Well, mostly I don't. I might have a fancy and squeeze a bit of sap green out or something, or viridian, which is a very useful colour in oil painting anyway. So there's my colour. I mix all my secondary colours with these. My greens are mostly yellows mixed with the Payne's grey, and you can modify them with a bit of red. I don't use a lot of this alizarin crimson. I should use more, but I don't. That's my main red, the light red. It looks a bit dark there, but in oil painting, if you mix a bit of white with that, it goes pink. So you get some wonderful skies with it. So that's the basic palette that I use, and I stick to it. I've had this palette for years. I've used different hues of the yellow, but these are the basics for me, and they've done me for many years. So that's the one I'm going to use today. Now where's it gone? That's my watercolour palette. Right, here we are. This is my oil painting palette. No greens. I make my greens mainly with the yellow, any yellow you like. This is chrome yellow, but I also use cadmium yellow pale, which is very similar. And I mix my greens with the yellow, the red, and the blue. So we've got cadmium red light. Mostly I use cadmium red, not light, the ordinary cadmium red. Cadmium red, there we go, big tubes. They're student qualities. So this is ultramarine, very useful colour. You can use cobalt blue as a substitute, but you can use what you like. But I work from a basic palette of 1, 2, 3, burnt sienna, very useful colour. It goes well in skies, but if you use a little bit of it. That's some red ochre. I don't use a lot of that. I put it out because I couldn't be bothered to put the burnt sienna out. We've got Payne's grey, very useful colour. It mixes very well with the blue and the other colours as well. And it's a very short cut to some lovely greens. Payne's grey and the yellow greens. Yellow ochre, very useful colour. Mixes well with the burnt sienna, and it mixes well with the yellows, and to make you can mix it. It makes greens. Just find out what it does. It's no good being a beginner and having 25 colours on your palette. It will cause confusion. You won't know what to use. So I keep it. I'll get that off. I'll use it. I'll squeeze that into a bit of old cloth. Right, so there we are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colours. Basic palette. It's a good British landscape palette because it's not too bright, or it's not bright at all. You need a much higher key if you're painting very sunny climes like the Mediterranean, Florida. So there we are. I've got 2 whites there. I've got titanium white Griffin, which I've got a some left. It contains alkyd resin, which helps all the colours to dry quicker because it mixes with all your colours on the surface on your support. I use big tubes. That's the ultramarine, great big tube. That way it's cheaper. So that is that. You can paint on watercolour paper, but especially you prime it first with some gesso or some PVA glue, a couple of coats of PVA glue to seal it. Then you're painting on an impervious surface. So that's that covered. Well, this is a picture I did the other day. I was painting trees really, and this is a bit of £200 bocking thread, very lovely paper. And there's all my greens. No greens on the palette, just mixed with the blue, the yellow, or the yellow and the Payne's grey. You have to learn these things. It takes a while. And if you've got 6 colours, it's much easier than using 25 colours. I know the Impressionists had all sorts of colours dotted out, but then they were highly experienced painters. I'm really catering for sort of beginners, intermediate, not well, if you're intermediate, you're on the way to becoming a really good painter. So anything else you wanted to know? I use these trays are superb. They're butcher's trays or food display trays. I'll tell you the size in case you forget. Have to ask me again. Where's my? There we go. You can have it in centimetres. That's 35, about 35 centimetres by 26, 25 centimetres in inches, 14 inches overall, that includes the lip, by 10, 14 by 10. They last forever. They're very, very tough. Whoops. And I've got other trays. Yeah, I used to use, when I first started, I used great big butcher's trays. I've got one here. Yeah, here we are. A really big one. Ron Ransom used to use this one. That one, look, that's big. Holding that, God, crumbs run everywhere. So I very rarely use that, and I've used the back of it for acrylic. I haven't included acrylic in this little chat because you can, people who are experienced, you can wind forward filmers. Acrylic, I use the same colours for acrylic. I might add Viridian, which is a sort of a strong blue-green, makes wonderful greens mixed with the cadmium or the chromium light pigments. But you've got to learn what all these colours, when they're mixed, what they do, what they can do. And that's why I keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't buy boxes, presentation boxes with 12 colours in, because you won't use them. You'll use 2 or 3 of them, and the colours are just wasting your money. Buy single tubes, and I use Cotman mainly, Winsor & Newton, made in France, I think, or they were. It was a British company, but they sold out, unfortunately, to the French. Nothing against the French, but that's what they did, and they are very consistent. There's also Data Round, the other main manufacturer. I've got a couple of these, but I haven't bought them. They were given to me as a gift, and I've got yellow ochre artist quality, but I'm using the ordinary Cotman. I've got another 2 big tubes of this, my pal Alan Owen said he gave up watercolour painting, not watercolour painting, oil painting in favour of watercolours. He's a very good watercolour painter on YouTube. Now oils, now that is an ongoing thing. We all have our preferred oil. Someone mentioned that they didn't like the liquid. Liquid is a fast drying, and it extends, and you can glaze with it. They're quite expensive, but I bought this big pot of it, a quarter of a litre, and that'll last me for several years, I would imagine. But he reckons it stank, but this doesn't, and my nose doesn't work very well. But it smells a bit of petrochemical, but not unduly. I'm not that bothered about that. The other oil I use is fast drying medium. Great stuff. Helps all your paints dry. They'll dry overnight, less than really thick. Sand soda I've never used. Low odour solvent for oil colour. That was given to me as well. And this white spirit. It's very toxic. So beware, danger. Use it very sparingly. It's very useful if you, especially if you wear a mask, because you can do an underpainting on canvas or whatever. MDF. I use a lot of MDF. You can use it to brush on. Just brush it all over the place, and then you can lift out some of the colour and get your design, and then use a cloth or something just to wipe out bits and pieces. And when you're happy, just leave it, go and have a cup of tea while it evaporates, because it will evaporate quite quickly. And you can use it as mixed with oil paint as a glaze. I've used it as a glaze, but retouch varnish in a tin or in a bottle is very good for glazing. I used to use a lot of that when I was doing Venice paintings. Here I spend about maximum of about 45-50 minutes on anything here, because I'm demonstrating, and it's a lot to upload and takes time. But then I was taking 2 days to do a Venice painting, 24 by 20 on canvas for a gallery that's long gone now. Seems that every gallery I've ever exhibited in has closed. It doesn't say much for me, does it? Anyway, any more questions? Just ask them on the comments. I'll give you any advice I can. Put that back. I keep my palette, my watercolour palette, in this document case. I bought 5 of them, very cheap, and they're sort of airtight. That will stay like. It's got a towel. There's a towel in there, or a flannel or something like that that's been sprayed with water to keep it moist. Right, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to do, I did this the other day, and it's turned out to be popular. I'll do another one of those, similar, just to show you. Mainly the mixing of the primaries to make greens, and the burnt sienna, and yellow ochre and white to make the marsh grass, for which I use this cheap brushes. Oh, these are my cheapos. I bought 15 in a packet of these, and they're all wearing out. But as they wear out, I've used that for priming. They do lovely things. Look, you can just do that, and you've got 100 grasses, pieces, stalks of grass. Do that, you've got lovely leaves. It's wonderful, wonderful. Easy. Once you get used to it, these techniques, they're absolutely easy. But they don't always work. You can all make a bit of mud. Right, so brushing. I'm going to use these long flats. I've lost one of them. Put those there. Need some plenty of cloth, plenty of toweling for my method. Right. So there we are. We've got a couple of these. Pro Arts, hog varnish, and they are hog's bristles. They're lovely brushes. They're a little bit long, but they're not made for oil painting really. They're made for varnishing. But this one seems to have been much more solid than that one. But what you'll find that is, if you after a bit of use, the provided pins will fall out. So I just get a couple of veneer pins, very small, thin ones, bang them through into my makeshift table behind me, clip off the extra length, and then just bend them over with a hammer or pliers or something. Save throwing away. But remember, the bit between the base of the bristles and the top of the handle is hollow. Okay, and if you're using these for acrylic or watercolour, you've got to shake out the water, otherwise you'll be painting and all the water will start falling out. So this one doesn't look very used. Yeah, cleaning brushes with oil. I used to use Wclr grease remover, very good stuff. I bought quite a tub of that from Halfords. But I found that a much cheaper version is washing up liquid. They're good quality ones like Fairy Liquid. Absolute superb. They leave the bristle lovely and soft. Your hands all nice and clean. So that's my little lecture over. Now we'll start. We're just going to make a sky up. And I'm going to use some of this oil. Somebody said don't use the oil to start with because the other paints won't. It'll be harder to stick over the top going from lean, because we paint lean to fat, not fat to lean. But I'm painting alla prima, so it doesn't really matter which way I go. Right, so let's get some of that on there. A bit of ultramarine. No, I want that to flow, so using a bit of the old liquid and stuff. This is on one of these demonstrations. I'm not sentimental, unless they're really good. I paint over them. But the idea is just to get some paint on the paper, canvas, whatever you're using. Yesterday I used some canvas, which was from a block, a paper. No, sorry, not paper. This stuff, but I found this quite difficult. It's a fine canvas, and it was a devil's own job to cover it with paint because it's quite rough. So if I use this next time, I'm going to use a palette knife and gesso and just fill the holes so that it will be flat like this sheet of watercolour paper. So well, let's get some liquid out. Now, I'll give it a shake. One bit of advice, when you buy them, they've got these black caps, these childproof caps. I get a craft knife underneath, split them, and then take it off and throw it, because unless you've got children around the house, you'll be fine. And you can get the lid off easy. The big problem with them, with the black lids, is that they just, after a while, they just keep clicking and they don't come off. So then you have to prise them off anyway. But that's my last bit of advice, right? Bit of liquid, bit of this, bit of that. Got a nice sunny scene now, but it's a lovely day in February. We've had some really nice weather lately. It has been cold, or not too cold. So that liquid, it sort of dissolves the paint and makes it easy to move around. for your initial painting, your initial laying. Just turn it down so I can see. I'm not going to copy it. I'm just going to do what I usually do. Just use it as a base and just make up stuff. Well, I want a low horizon because I want to show that pond or that water anyway. So we'll take the sky more or less down to there. And paint all over the support. Don't do one bit and get it finished before the rest of it. Just work on it all at the same time. Okay, and we can start to add a bit of colour in here. Get some white, touch of burnt sienna. Why not? Bit of liquid. So pond, water. Above that, I'm going to put the grasses, and maybe I'll put a little house or something, just to make it different than the one I'm being inspired by. Right, now we've done that, I wouldn't suggest you paint the trees before you paint the sky until you're very experienced. The Impressionists did, and I do sometimes. When you put your dark masses on for trees, or for houses or whatever, then bring the sky down to the outlines of what you've painted, the trees or the houses. You get a great impact rather than paint over the wet paint above. But that's what I do. But you can try all these things. I've got hundreds of oil demonstrations. I've got probably a couple of thousand watercolours on demonstrations on YouTube, and probably hundreds of acrylic paintings. It's all there. I must have over 3,000 paintings on YouTube. They're not all good. They're demonstrations, but it's just. Get some movement in your sky. Go over that blue. Just bang it on. You can change it any time. Now we'll use the same brush. We'll mix a bit of blue, bit of red, or Payne's grey. I want a light horizon, but let's just get some of this cloud stuff in. That paint there, that red, I'm going to take it off. I'm not going to use it. I used it yesterday because it was there. It's the Griffin, which is the fast drying oil, and it's artist quality. But I'm going to take that off because it'll confuse you between the two reds that I use. Use vermilion, loads. Look at that. Ooh, take that off because it's all mucky. Cadmium red. I'll use a bit of the Daily Rounding, Georgian. These are the student qualities. Get that out. Ooh, I've got a bit of black on the back of my nail. If I dive off quickly, it'll be because my daughter-in-law is going to knock on the door and drop off some books from my wife. Yeah, so I'm mixing just a touch of the yellow and a touch of the red in this, just to give it a bit of warm. just some low clouds coming up over the horizon. Right, now we can mix this a bit. Make a sort of a mauve cloud. That's better. You can mix a bit of ultramarine. Right, I'm going to go back over that because I want that a bit darker, a bit more character in it. Alright, okay. Right, now I've got a tree brush. I've got this lovely brush here. I've got a lovely brush here, Daily Rounded Graduates. This is a Winston Newton brush. I'll use this longish flat. It's a filbert, not a flat. It's good shape for painting trees. So. Now, green, red, blue, yellow. Right, okay, so we're going to go down to that horizon there. Bit of yellow, just down to that horizon. Try to do this so you get some air in the tree. Bit more red. I've got this one a bit too, not a nice shape. Okay, I'll show you the mixing with Payne's Grey in a minute. A bit more blue in there, so we've got a bit of distance. See, the blue is a cool colour. Make it a bit more blue. Well, this is going to suggest distance, we hope. Okay, I forgot the house. I might put a sail in it. Imagine this is the Norfolk Broads, which is an area of East Anglia in the southeast UK. Southeast, it's more east than south. Lovely, and centuries ago, the Dutch, the Dutch being lowlanders, because they were virtually at sea level, they became very proficient at making dikes to keep out the seawater. So they drained all the land behind these dikes, where necessary. It wasn't the whole country. And they went to East Anglia, Norfolk, and they drained all the land there because it was low-lying, what we call fen land. See, now we've got lots of different greens in there. Oh, we can make a very, very light touch, just barely touching the paper. Now, it wasn't dark on the base of these trees. But it was a bit dark. Add some green on there, light green. Blue. Now you stand back and look at it, see if shapes that you don't like. I need a bit more variety in there, so I use a bit of Payne's grey now. See, you've got a very dark green there now. So you've got a shadow at the base of the trees. So we've got near and far there. Okay, so that's our background. That's painting trees in an impressionist sort of way. No detail. Then we've got to put in the grasses. So for the grasses, we're going to use this brush. Oh, cheap old brush. 60p, but it does lovely things. But we've got to keep our horizon horizontal because we're on flat land. I'm going to put some yellow ochre out. I can't remember why I got rid of it. Put that in. Make sure your piles of paint aren't very high, because you'll end up going to your white and getting your little finger in the blobs. And you won't be very pleased with the amount of it's going on your jeans. Right, okay, so keep the brushes I'm using I'll keep here. Right, bit of oil, a bit of white, a bit of ochre. Okay, now we'll I'm sharing this technique with you. This is the fun bit. You can keep going over it. So these are the tips of the marsh grasses. Get some coming up a little bit. Keep everything soft. Now, we cycle our bikes along something like this, called the Boardwalk in Malden Hall Park. Lovely, lovely park. And they put this boardwalk in 3 or 4 years ago. And you'd think you were in the wilds, not surrounded by housing estates and so on. But just look at that. We go back to. I've got to go back to do something on that sky. I haven't forgot. And then we will put in some marsh grasses now. Well, not the marsh grasses, the stalks. So we'll have burnt sienna mixed with that, with the ochre. Mix a little bit of Payne's grey with that. All right, look. Grasses. And we can darken that as we come down to the water, because I know I struggle with water. I still do. I don't find it easy, but you find it easier. Right, let's get that a little bit darker than that, a bit of Payne's grey. Very useful colour. And we can just put in the base of the stalks. I'm going to go right across with this. I might put a sort of a shrub or bush coming out of it. Bit of white, bit of ochre, just to lighten it a bit. But sienna mixing. It was warm dark. But that's where we want want that darker bit. No, I'd probably go back to the, just let that go off a bit, because we've got a lot of dryer in the oil. Can't remember what I was going to say now. Now there will be some light stalks in here as well, so let's go back to that. Yeah, we're expecting a lot of a big storm. I know in America you're used to it, but we're not. Well, we are, but so that gives an impression that we want to go a bit darker in there now. I'm not worried how. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. I managed yesterday to get a good. The Windows Movie Maker didn't seem to work. Maybe I was a bit impatient with it because I did a 50-minute one. 50-minute one yesterday, and it came out. If it actually finished the video, the two I did before, it only went along till the SD card split. I wish it didn't, but it does. But yesterday, I was patient, and it took about an hour. Okay, and it worked brilliantly. So there we are. I'm just going to go over that now with a bit of white. I'll put some more paint out in a minute. My phone's going, not answering it. Oh, I better go and see who that is. Oh, let's just pause. Right, it's okay. Right, let's go back over that sky while this all goes off, because I want some much lighter sky colour in there, blue, a bit of blue, reflecting a cloud. It won't reflect these trees because they're too far back. But so we'll put you'll see what we'll do when we get to it. Right, I'm just going to take off this white here. Tissue. I bought this marvellous, been using it for weeks, this marvellous roll of paper at Lidl's, £3 or £pounds. Right, I'll use a bit of Griffin. So we'll have a couple of blobs of that. That's the Griffin. Titanium white, so I only use titanium white. Remember the olden days before, when they used to use lead white, or a lot of paints, pigments in these paints, and they would have the colours on varnishing day at the Royal Academy. They would use their elbows or their forearms as a palette, and they'd have all these lead-based paints. Oh dear, very dangerous. Right, okay, so let's get in. Let's go a bit darker on that sky. Let's mix those in. A bit tacky now. Let's go a bit more blue there. Let's develop this cloud here. Bit of Griffin, liquid, bit of ochre. Get the edges of the cloud soft. It's a nice sort of, so it's nice about yellow ochre, eh? Big clouds coming up over, oops, bristles. Bit of Griffin in there. Now, I've lost a lot of the contrast in that because those colours are too close in the contrast. You need light against dark, so we'll go white over some of these. Right, we've got a sky coming now. We'll put some clouds in there. The brush is getting a little bit, so I have to put another nail in there. Get these colours back, red and the blue, bit of white. Touch. No, I don't want paint spray. Called lowering clouds. A bit of blending. I get some light back in there on that horizon. I just work at them till I think they look okay. But I love skies anyway. Always gone dark. Painting in between there a bit. Also, I've touched the tree. A bit of pink in those clouds. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Put my headphones on. Soften down there. Oh, nice bit of colour in there. Soften around there though. Right, back to the grass now. Back to the finale. So we've got some that sort of colour. Let's put that in. Trying to get that clear, that light. Okay, now the fun begins. This is sort of darker. It needs to be lighter. Right, now then, let's start to pull these down, these colours, these darker colours down. Okay, now does that look like water? Ah, let's get some streaky stuff. Don't overdo that. Right, okay, we'll leave that. It looks quite wet to me. Now then, shall we put up the sailboats? I think that would be appropriate because a series of not rivers so much as dikes, the whole area is like it. You need to have a look on a map. I've got this little brush here, but this one's sort of worn out. It's sprayed a bit. I did have. Oh well, we'll try it. We'll see how we go. So we want a sort of a white sailboat. Put it here. Right, one little boat there. Let's put another one over here. Not bad, much luck with that. Let's try that. set up like this, I can't sort of rest my arm on anything to do this. Let's try. Right, that'll do. And we can put some figures the other side of that. So let's have a nice red. Well, that doesn't look like a person, does it? Change it. Looking at the boats. Walkers. Walking along the bank. Okay, well, we've done a lot there now. That did work. My wife made this for me years ago. Bit of chamois leather. I've got another one. I've got a longer one, which my daughter bought for me. This one. So you can. Whoa, so do big ones. This is about as big as I go now, because all my stuff is on YouTube, so there are limits to the size for what I'm doing anyway. Right, now I'm going to go back to my stippling brush and put some brights on there. Trying to get those white tips. No, I'm not going to muck it up. Let's put that in. Okay, well I'm going to put that in a mountain. I don't want to do anything more to it. There comes a time when you need to stop. You can always go back to it, but stop in your head, because anything more now would be too much. Just pull the blind down a bit more. Now the sun's getting higher and higher in the sky now, but it's a lovely day. Oh, that's a wrong one. I'll do this one. This one, it's the other side of this. Right, let's open that one. Okay. Right, I'll get my mount. Now I've got this mount that I cut for a 16 by 12 the paper, this paper is 15 by 11, so it just about fits. Just about. Okay, get that to clip and clip it. Right, okay. There we are. Move that over into the middle. So there we are. We have another Norfolk scene. I think we've got. Oh, we're going uphill there. That's better. You can always change the mount. I mean, move the picture in the mount, like I've just done. So I hope you like that. Let's just zoom in a bit. Now you can see what I've done to those trees. There it is. Well, I quite like that. I think that's come out quite well. Figures on the bank. Figures on the bank, that's what I call it. Anyway, I hope you like it. Let me know in the comments what you think. I know most people just sort of click on then click off, but we've got a nice bit of variety in the cloud formation there. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.